YouTube. How are you? Hello, my saltines. Nice to see everybody today. Yes, I have no makeup on. I'm not sure if this is working or not. Hold on. Okay, hold on. Okay. Hey, YouTube. How are you? Hello, my saltines. Nice to see you guys. Hope you're doing well. Getting ready for the week, I bet, just like me. So, yeah, no makeup today, no hair, um, a different background. It's just kind of how I feel today. Today, we're going to do the half-hour video from Lori Vallow's brother and uncle. Her brother's name is Adam. Her uncle's name is Rex. And they're doing a 10-episode series answering questions, explaining things about the court case and their sister and their family, and maybe some inside information that we just would have no idea otherwise unless I brought it to you. If I brought you the secret information from spirit. But Adam and Rex do have some information, so we'll have a watch of that. I haven't seen it yet, so I'll give you my reaction, my comments about it. I've had TYLEE and JJ in my presence lightly. I've never used that adjective before to describe an encounter with spirit, but it was very. TYLEE was very what's the word? Protective. She was just very protective of JJ and herself as well. She kind of guarded the two of them, said hi to me, said, a couple things, and then that's it. I am getting chills right now. So I'm not sure. We'll see if this is TYLEE or JJ or somebody else. I never know who's going to show up ever. So again, we're going to watch this together. It's 30 minutes. 43 seconds. Apparently, that's what it looks like. So I'll stop as I feel like I want to comment. And of course, I want to hear your guys' comments down in the comments below. Okay. So let's go ahead and switch over. Loving this new software. All right, you guys, let's go ahead and listen.
My sister, Lori Vallow, murdered her children, TYLEE and JJ, and buried them in a pet cemetery. And we're all trying to make sense of it. So let's talk about it.
And welcome back to our third session, our third podcast here. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for the comments. We'll be handling those later. Today's subject is about a subject near and dear to each of us. Adam's brother, Alex. Alex Cox, who most people know as the family assassin. I guess most people believe he's the one that did the actually killing. Obviously, he's the one who killed Charles when he shot him, claimed it was self-defense. People have seen videos of him. A lot of people have commented on how much he and I look alike.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fair representation, sometimes painful, as it was for him while he was alive. Alex passed away, and what the coroner said were natural causes. I don't know who believes it was natural causes. The timing's just not.
So, yeah, natural causes. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say he was murdered. Who murdered him? I'm going to go ahead and say Chad. I mean, these aren't funny things, but yeah. And I mentioned that to you guys as soon as I saw these two gentlemen. They eerily look just like Alex. I think the brother, Adam, looks a lot. I'm looking at my other monitor over here. He looks so much like Alex too, but yeah, the uncle does too, doesn't he? And it's like, yeah, Alex was gross, slimy, murderous. So those are the feelings we're going to probably have at first as we see these two guys talking. But I will tell you, and I do feel someone coming. I feel a spirit coming in. Oh God, could it be Alex? I think it might be. He's like, near me, but he's like, okay, I'm getting the chills. He's like 10, 12 feet away, kind of circling me. Like, should I go in? Should I not go in? I'm not sure what I should do. Okay, I'm going to continue. I believe Alex was murdered. I don't really like channeling murderers because they usually don't have anything great to tell me. But if he's here with some information that we need, then so be it. I'll take it. I'll do it. But Alex was murdered. I'll say that with 100% certainty. He did not die of natural causes. He died of natural murder. All right, let's keep going.
Realistic. So that's an open investigation. But we want to talk more about Alex himself and give you some insight. And when we give you family insight, please know that we don't excuse the actions of Lori, Alex, or anyone that was involved, but we want to give you some insights. And so there's some things we talk about that are positive about them. Like we'll be talking about Alex. Good grief, is hilarious. And as a stand-up comedian, he was funny, but please don't misconstrue the fact that we're talking about some of their good traits to think that we are excusing the unspeakably evil actions that they took and the murders that they committed. But Adam and I were close. Of course, I'm sorry, Alex and I were close, and he lived with me for a while, and I would go down to Phoenix to watch his stand-up comedy. But certainly I don't have the experience with him that Adam does. Adam, what kind of insights can you give us?
Well, when you talk about your brother, you grow up with your brother. Think about everybody listening right now or watching right now. You know, how do you feel about your brother? Think about your brother. And I know there's some people that are watching and listening right now. One of the reasons we're doing this podcast is to kind of help families and people who have families that have tragedies happen in their family to deal with how do you deal with it, the afterlife after whatever tragedy happened to your family. But with Alex, you think about, growing up with Alex, he's, like Rex said, he was wanted to be a comedian growing up. And when you start thinking about people that come from a family, you're like, okay, well, who's the most talented in the family? And you have like, my sisters were great singers and I'm a decent athlete. Right. But Alex, decent, but Alex, if you had to put it on as far as who is the most talented, he could watch a movie and then mimic the movie word for word and be exactly how it sounds on the movie or TV or cartoon.
Do all the voices.
All the voices and exactly what they say, how they say it, the spacing. Like, it was uncanny how good he was at that. And at one point in our lives, I told Alex, when we were, young adults, I was like, you need to be in Vegas making $1 million. You really do. And if you don't know how to do it, you have the talent to do it. You got to figure out how to do this. But I think with Alex, I think one of the big things that with Alex is that he lacked ambition. So I think if you have a ton of talent and your brother has a ton of talent, or you have family members that have a ton of talent and you would love to see them, make the best that they can with that talent, and they don't do it, it's kind of I don't know, disappointing as I would love for him to be, in Vegas making a ton of money and being the most successful person in the family. So that was a little bit about Alex growing up. He didn't really have a lot of his own friends. Like, I had a ton of friends that came to the house, and then Alex would pick and choose of which friends he wanted to hang out with mine. And so basically, we had a normal childhood. I know Alex got in a car wreck when he was 16, and he hit his head and had a hematoma on his head. And some people in our family feel like, Alex was never the same after that wreck. But it's hard to imagine that the brother that I grew up with, playing sports and laughing and swimming and going on vacations with, and all these things, that he could have done what he ended up doing. And so the question I think a lot of people want to know is, how did he do it? Like, how do you go from being normal, quote unquote normal, to assassin, to killing? And I feel like he wanted to be part of something, because he really felt like he disappointed himself in life, with how he was. Like, he got married really early for a couple of weeks and then got divorced. Then after that, no wife, no kids, didn't experience being a dad or a husband really. And so, and then, we talked about, him wanting to be part of the church, and then got excommunicated. And when Rex ended up baptizing him again when he came back to the church. So he had the inside, like, he wanted to do good. He wanted to be good at one point. And then disappointed himself again by, getting excommunicated again. And so I feel like part of this, where he got mixed up with Chad and Lori, was he wanted to belong to something. He wanted to be important for somebody. And boy, Chad and Lori sold him a bag of beans in the beanstalk. I mean, he bought into whatever they were selling, and he wanted to be part of something, and he wanted to feel right. And so, and he thought, in my opinion, looking at this from the outside, I feel like Lori and Chad had Alex feeling like he was this angel from another, world. And I don't know what Chad's thing is, but I know he claims that, he's lived in different worlds. And then he claims that he's been married to other women. But he told Alex that Alex was an angel that appeared to Laman and Lemuel when they were beating up Nephi in the Book of Mormon. That was Alex. He did that in a previous life. And Chad had Alex believing that. So with Chad and Lori's influence on Alex, that he's this great person from another life, and in this life, he's here to protect them or do the same kind.
All right, let me stop it right there. So this is something, and I think I've mentioned this before about Chad, where it just pisses me off as a psychic medium. Oops, let me make myself bigger so you can see me. This pisses me off as a psychic because reincarnation, I believe in. I have my own memories of past lives, several past lives, and I've talked to normal people who swear they've had past lives, and it's a disservice to the universe when you get someone like Chad who's using a truth and turning it into a lie and something that is not reality. Was Alex reincarnated from this other guy from the Bible? Maybe. But does Chad know? How does Chad know that? Is he a psychic? Does he connect with the universe? Does he connect directly with the divine? I mean, even someone like me who does connect directly to the other side, I don't, information, you don't know when it's coming or not. You could just be full blown having conversation with someone. It's like, oh yeah, do you remember when you were 6 and you had a red coat? Like, I didn't know you when you were 6, but do you remember that? Did you have a red jacket? For me, that's how it works. And so with Alex being someone that's searching, like Lori was searching, he's going to be susceptible. And these cults are very keen on aiming at weak minded individuals, people who are searching, people who are desperate or in despair or feel bad about themselves. So, Chad, that pisses me off a lot that he's misguided somebody and had that person kill people. And I think Chad killed Alex. All right, let's keep going.
kind of things, cleaning up their mess or whatever it is.
So, Adam, let me suggest go back a little bit if you would. There's a certain experience where he really bought in that he shared with you, because I heard it from you, listening to a podcast.
Yeah.
Can you share that? And because it was like a conversion experience from the old Alex to the new. In my mind, that was the turning point.
Right. Well, Lori started listening to podcasts and reading books, and I guess some of the books were Chad's or whatever. And then she wanted everybody in our family to read these books and listen to these podcasts because she said they're just so great. You'll love them and all this. Obviously, I didn't ever take part in any of it. I'm not interested in those kinds of things, but Alex was. So Alex ended up at one point in his life, we sat down one night. It was 1:00 in the morning, and we talked about how many jobs Alex had in his life. And he was over the 400 mark of jobs. And I was like, so explain that to me. He goes, well, sometimes I go in, I got a job, and the next day I didn't like it, so I quit. So, but we went through this thing with jobs. So his last job that he had before he quit that to join Lori and Chad's whatever,
Cult.
he was an 18-wheel truck driver. And so he would go on these road trips. And when I used to call Alex, I tried to, him and I weren't close. So I would try once in a while to call him and check on him. Hey, how are you? Where are you at? Where are you driving to? If you're coming through town, this is when I lived in Kansas. I said, when you come through Wichita, make sure you stop. Let's, go eat or something like that. And that happened a couple times. And during that time, when you're a truck driver, I'm sure you have to find things to do because you're driving a truck for a really long time. And so Alex, the comedian, loved comedy. He loved to laugh. So he would listen to the Comedy Network for hours and hours and hours on these trips. And he would tell me, oh, this comedian said this. And we would chit chat about, funny stuff. Well, once Lori told Alex, hey, you got to listen to some of these podcasts. Well, then Alex has all this time in the world to drive in his 18-wheeler truck with nothing else to do and starts listening to these podcasts. So while he's listening to these podcasts, he gets hooked on listening to these podcasts. And I think the one thing that he said, he was listening to a podcast from a guy named Chad Stroud. Is that right? Or
I don't know the name.
Something Stroud, I think. And he's like, you have got to listen to this, Adam. And I was like, what? And of course, Lori's already trying to get me to read books and listen to podcasts that I want to do. And so now he's on the same wavelength. He's like, you got to listen to these podcasts. I said, well, what are they about? He's like, well, it's deep doctrine. So I don't know if you're going to really understand it, but you're going to have to really pay attention. But
wait a minute. This is Alex.
Yeah.
Saying it's deep doctrine. I don't know if you'll understand.
Right.
Okay. I have to laugh at that because Alex is not known as a deep doctrine type of guy.
Right.
So the fact that he would say that is kind of
so you knew
humorous.
there was a change.
Right.
So at this point, there's definitely been a change. So he says to me, I've gotten more truth and light and felt the Spirit stronger than I've ever have in my whole life by listening to this one podcast than I have in my whole life of going to church. That statement really scared me by having somebody say something like that. So at that point, I was like, Alex, what are you doing? I said, don't you want to listen to comedy again? Can't you turn the comedy channel? He goes, no, you don't understand. You need to. I said, and I literally asked him, so do you listen to the same podcast over and over again or different podcasts? He goes, well, once the new one doesn't come out, then I'll listen to another one over, listen to it again. So he was just listening to this Stroud's whatever, or Julie Rose podcast or whoever. So he was in that frame of mind of being already converted over from what Lori and Chad had told him who he was and what he was. And I've heard rumors about Chad giving Alex blessings and making him feel like he was a special being and special person. And so I don't know how somebody can make a huge change like that and not think about anything else. But I think it's happened to Lori, and I think it's happened to Alex. It's kind of like what we talked about in the previous podcast.
Okay, let me stop there. So I know Lori has strived to be somebody famous, rich. She's been on TV. She won a beauty pageant. And, we have Alex, who was a comedian going out in public and performing. And this guy here, Adam, he had his own radio show before he mentioned. I think that was in Texas, I believe. Um, okay, sorry, Spirit's talking to me and it's distracting me. So, this thing Chad Daybell's doing, trying to tell people, I'm going to make you up here. I'm going to put you on a pedestal. God's telling me to put you on a pedestal. The universe, whoever, whatever they believe in. You're more valuable than Joe Schmo, than your next door neighbor. Don't ever believe that. Ever. We are equal. Everyone is equal. Yes, even Alex. Alex Murdaugh. All of them, all the murderers we know. All the murderers we've talked about, all the murderers we know. Every single person on the planet is equal. And I know for some people that may be hard to swallow, but that's the truth. You can't make yourself be any more important than you already are. The divine God, whatever you want to call it, whoever your God is, the universe, makes us equal. Yes, we have different lives. We have different paths. We make different decisions. We live in different places. We make different amounts of money. We like different kinds of food. We like kids. We don't like kids. We like to travel. We don't like to travel. Whoever you are, wherever you are, no one is more important than you. We are equal. So this bullshit that Chad and other cult entities tell people is bullshit. Okay. You can have, you're going to have 5 virgin wives on the other side. Well, okay. No, you're not. Okay. You're not. That's not a thing. I'm sorry. That's not a thing. So this shit's just made up. This is a cult. But again, Alex being taken advantage of. Did he have a head injury problem? Well, we know he had the head injury. Was this mental thing he had from the injury? I don't know. We'll see if he comes in. Like I said, I'm open to Alex coming into my presence if he's not gross or I don't know what I want to know from Alex, but I'm not sure if I'm open to it. Actually, I know I'm not, but maybe in time I'll be open to him. But I do feel him around, and it's giving me the chills, which is him confirming that he's close by. All right, let's keep going.
Cast with Lori. Lori was already going down this road, predicting the end of the world, call out things, and this is going to happen on this date kind of stuff. And she got Alex involved in that too. And I remember one time Lori and Alex had predicted something was going to happen in the spring of whatever year it was. In April, something was supposed to happen. Well, April came and gone, and I called Alex in May. I was like, hey, wasn't something big supposed to happen? Weren't we supposed to be living in tents in the desert somewhere? He's like, no. And I was like, well, that's what you said. And then him and Lori would backtrack about what they said. Well, it probably means this, or this. So it's just weird that, they never really had confirmation with anything that they predicted or said was going to happen. But they kept on going down that route anyways. So I'm not really sure what made Alex attract to wanting to, be with Lori and Chad, except for they were taking him in. And I think he was at a point in his life where he wanted to be wanted and he wanted to be needed. So how do you then get on board where Chad and Lori say, we need you to kill Charles, kill Brandon, kill the kids, help me kill Tammy. Like, I don't know in his mind how he would justify that.
Okay, let me stop there too. I'm sorry, this sounds like a gang, doesn't it? This doesn't sound like some religion. This sounds like a gang. Sounds like a gang. To be in the gang, to be accepted, to be loved, to be validated, to be anything, you got to do what we tell you to do, even if that includes killing people. That's what these guys are saying. It's a gang. Chad's a gang leader. Such an idiot.
Do you?
No, I don't know is the right answer, but let's talk about this because we've both talked before and speculated, and psychologists call this what I'm about to talk about cognitive dissonance, but it's what all of us do when there's something in our life that we just want it. And our conscience says, no, not a good idea. Well, we do it anyway. We all have that experience. Any of us, anyone listening to the podcast can think back right now, say, when was the last time you ate something you shouldn't have eaten? When was the last time you drank something you should have drank? When was the last time you said something to someone you shouldn't have said? And we can all think back, oh, yeah. Well, it's your conscience telling you that you should have or shouldn't have. It's not me. It's not someone externally. But when you want that and your conscience says, nope, not a good idea, we all say, I don't want to listen to you right now, conscience. I want to make room in my life for this. And so you adjust your life, your belief system, your head around to make room for that. That's part of just the human experience. We do that, and we do it until we just say, oh, I really didn't want that. Or we keep it in our life because we've adjusted our life around it, and we don't go further because we know our conscience was right. I'll just do this much. I just won't go any further, and there's no harm in that. Okay. But what it seems that Alex did and Lori did is they became extremists. We hear about extremists all the time, don't we? In the news and religious, connected with religion. He became extremist and just said to the conscience, you just take a seat a long ways away. I'm not going to listen to you anymore because my belief system, what I've convinced my belief system is adjusting around everything I want. I want to take this path. So forget my conscience. I'll adjust my world around whatever makes this path okay. And they just never had their conscience check it, and they just kept going. Fortunately, I mean, all of us have that propensity. We have that ability to do that. Fortunately, no one becomes as extreme as Lori, Alex. I don't know of, well, Chad, apparently.
Yeah.
Anyone that becomes that evil has gone through the same process. We all go through that same process.
Right.
We just listened to our conscience earlier that checks us, and thank goodness, thank everyone that's listening and everyone else in the world that hasn't taken it to that extreme where they murder their children and bury them in a pet cemetery.
So you've heard the term where somebody says, well, that person doesn't have a conscience, because you can't have a conscience if you're doing that. So they do have a conscience, but they decide, right?
Every decision point along the way, they're deciding to not listen, I don't even like the word listen because it's not a sensory thing. You don't hear something.
Yeah.
They don't want to acknowledge it. They don't want to be aware of it because it makes them feel bad.
So going back to, the murders of TYLEE and JJ, I did not go to court. I did not listen to how they were killed.
Good move.
I've tried to stay away as much as possible from details because I don't know how I can digest that. So I know a lot of people listening right now know way more about that than I do. But just the fact that Alex was involved with in my opinion, Chad and Lori, to get on this rampage of killing and for God's purpose. He wouldn't do it on his own just to kill somebody. His mindset had to have been, Lori and Chad are gathering these 144,000 people. I want to be important. They told me that I'm one of the main people to do this. So whatever it is that they're telling me I need to do, the Lord is okaying all of this for his cause. That's the only thing that I can feel like, the only thing that makes sense in my brain, which would have him do that.
Yeah, let me weigh in on that. I'm with you completely. And when we decide to do that, it's all about the decisions we make along the way. And each point we could make the opposite decision and change the whole course. One of the silver linings we want people to get out of this is to realize wherever we are on a path, when we decide, that was not the right path to take, we can change by the decisions we make and not go further on that path and even go back. We can't undo what we've done because consequences belong to natural law. So we can't change the result of our decisions, but we can make better decisions. Now, in the case of Alex wanting to be important and to contribute, I agree with you. I don't know of a different way to interpret what he did than that. Okay. Your choice not to find the details of the death of TYLEE and JJ. I'm with you. My wife and I consciously said, we don't want those details. We're dealing with enough and we don't know how to deal with all this. And that's still true. And we said, we don't want those details. Well, I went to court with my daughters. When I went, it was to support them so we could all and share expenses of they're in court, or of the trip. And we all wanted to process together. Well, we picked the wrong days. And so I'm in court when they had the forensic evidence and went through in painful detail about how the children were killed.
Yeah.
That was tough. That's tough to deal with. I didn't want those details either, but I got them.
Yeah.
And during that, I looked at my daughter, Melissa. I had my head down. We're just, everyone in the courtroom, I'm sure, is going through the same thing. What do we do with this information? How do we process this? This is beyond our comprehension of evil. So if there's something beyond evil or beneath evil, this is it. I'll spare you the details, but I didn't know it was that level of evil's the only way I can describe it. I looked at my daughter, Melissa, and she had the right look on her face. And I said, what? Now, we aren't supposed to be talking in court.
Right.
I said, what?
Did you get kicked out?
What do you experience? We didn't.
No, okay.
We were settled here.
Yeah.
And she said, I am so infuriated right now. I said, that's it. That's the emotion I'm experiencing. And that's what I need to handle this experience, is just to realize, acknowledge how infuriated I am. First of all, that any human could do this to another human, but
and to stop there real quick. And I think we all have some anger about this, don't we? Because it's like I said, murder and crimes don't just affect the family. So many of us have had disgust and what's the word? Infuriation? Is that the word? Just the utmost burning anger over this case and others. And that's natural. So let yourself feel it, but then we have to let it go, kind of. We don't want to be consumed by these things. And this is why I don't talk about the Watts case anymore. It's too much. We talked about it. I told you what happened. You have to move on. So at some point, we do have to move on from each individual case. Right now, we're still processing this one. But it's very normal to feel anger for something you had nothing to do with, people you don't know. Yeah, let's keep going.
That someone you know and love can do this to someone else you know and love.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's not like Alex was a serial killer where he would just go out and kill people to kill.
Right.
You hear about that. His wasn't about that. His was about he's doing this for a purpose. Even that alone from what they did is just, it's like you said, it's hard to realize that Alex loved JJ and he loved TYLEE.
Mm-hmm.
It's so, I don't know the word for it, but I just can't imagine him going through with it.
So let's talk about the God thing for just a second. To weigh in on that again, we aren't in their hearts or minds, so we don't know that this is what was going through them. But isn't that the human experience throughout history? People that turn away from religion, one reason they give is, look how much hate and crime and killing has been committed in the name of religion.
Mm-hmm.
And valid point.
Yeah.
Valid point. When evil people want to gain power over other people, they'll use whatever is at their
disposal.
Right?
Right.
Mostly Eastern religions, you guys.
To influence the other people.
Religions.
So here are Chad and Lori engaged in one of the great causes of history, preparing for Christ's second coming to the earth.
Right.
And so let's all gather around. And first of all, the people that say, well, that's wacko. That's, hasn't happened in the last 2,000 years. The Bible says no one knows the time. Why do you think it's right now? Well, we know better.
Yeah. Why are people predicting? Right. Yeah.
They tell anyone anything to meet their purposes. So when people talk about, well, the religious background of Chad and Lori, has something to do with this. Of course it does.
Yeah.
It does, but they aren't representing a religion. These are evil, sick people making stuff up to influence weak-minded or similarly minded people,
right,
to do and to give them power, sex, and money, as the prosecution said.
The last 5 minutes here, last 4 minutes and 40 seconds, I want to talk about Alex's death for a second, because I got the news that Alex had died by Brandon. Brandon actually called me and told me that don't tell anybody, but I just feel like you have to know. The FBI has confirmed this to me and told me that Alex, your brother, has passed away. And I was shocked.
No kidding.
I was shocked. And at this point, I was cut off from my mom and my dad and my sister. So my family, they didn't know. And I wasn't calling them to tell them that Alex had died. It was such a bizarre, weird feeling because I knew what Alex was doing. And I was so upset. But then when your brother dies, what emotion was I supposed to have? Like, I don't even know if I cried or was in shock. But when it comes to his death, and a lot of people are speculating all kinds of things, because when you're saying that Alex died of natural causes, with all this stuff going on and all the things we heard, I'm a believer. My own personal opinion is that I think, he was taken out. And I don't know what poison or what thing they used to get him, but I feel like that went down. That's my personal opinion, and they may prove that. I don't know, but that's what I think. And when Alex died, they had a funeral for Alex. And this is a time where I was cut off from my family.
A memorial service.
And I was not invited to the memorial service. And people said to me, why aren't you going to the funeral or the memorial service? I said, well, I wasn't invited. My family doesn't want anybody that didn't think Alex was a hero at that time, because they thought that he killed Charles because Charles was trying to kill TYLEE or whatever they believed at the time. So I was not invited to my own brother's funeral. You were there and you spoke at it.
Not because I felt he was a hero. Let me clarify
Right,
that.
right.
I believed as you did. It's
Right.
just my family didn't recognize that I believed that, I think is why I got invited.
Why you got invited. Well, I did not get invited, and people were like, but even if I was invited, this is how torn up I was. I did not want to go to be at my brother's funeral. And I don't know if that's the wrong thing to do. I don't know if that's, if there's a right and wrong thing to do. My emotion told me, even if my family was talking to me and invited me to his memorial service, I would not have gone because I knew that he murdered Charles. And in my mind, I just said, I can't do it, even if I was invited. So these are the kind of emotions that I've gone through in the last 4 years, up and down and up and down. Like some days I don't want to get out of bed. Some days I just, I wake up, I was like, I hope this was a nightmare. And I wake up and it's real life. So Alex is now obviously in another place. And I don't know what's going to happen with his life and all the things, the next life, if you believe in the next life. But, that's time for another podcast. But I just want to say that if you have a family member that is going out of line from what you've seen in the past, say something or try to stop or try to encourage them or do. I just feel like maybe I didn't do enough. I feel like sometimes.
No one else feels that way, but I appreciate you sharing that that's how you felt, your emotions. And let me say this, what you just said highlights the fact we don't know the right way to act. How do you act in that situation? Yeah. I don't think there's a right or wrong reaction. We're all just experiencing life, all trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Well, that's our episode today.
Wow. Comedian to Assassin. That's the title of that episode. So, as I was listening, I had written down on my notes here. You can't see it because I have a green screen, but I said right there, that says poison. I had written down poison. That's how Alex died. I'm getting the chills again for the word poison. So I do believe this is Alex telling me he was poisoned. This isn't something I can do lightly when I channel someone like Alex. I don't know if I want to stay on video and do this because with him, I think I'm going to have to pick and choose what I repeat to you guys. So I honestly don't feel like I'm quite ready to talk to Alex right now. But it'll come. It'll come. I'm just not ready to. It's some spirits are really difficult to channel for various reasons. But there we have it. Yeah, a gang. This cult really was like a gang. If you know anything about gangs, this what Chad was doing is like a freaking gang. God does not want us, the Christian God, and that's who they believe in. I believe they believe in Christ, right? Yeah, there should be no murdering. There should be no murdering because when we pass over, we're all equal. We are equal. Different things happen to us after we pass over. That's kind of why I wanted this background today because it just reminds me of, okay, TYLEE and JJ are on the other side. Alex is on the other side. Maybe during a live show, I can ponder this a little better instead of just sitting here on a recording and doing this. But we'll talk about them again. We have 7 more episodes of this series left, so we'll do that. So thanks so much for checking out this video with me, a psychic's reaction to this podcast. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, please share the video on all your social media. It's very easy to do. You can even text the link to this video by text to family, friends, and strangers. I don't care who you send it to. And okay, you guys, I'll see you real soon. I see some other things I do want to talk about, so I might just stay on here and film another video because there's a lot going on. All right, you guys, thanks so much. I appreciate every single one of you. You matter, my saltines. My saltines, you are important. Don't forget that. We are equal. All right, you guys, love you. See you soon. Ciao.